Hello fellow brawlers, I'm KairosTime, and it is time to talk about Tara's, Barley's, and Frank's star powers. Just in case you're not familiar with what we're doing here, we are taking a look at the new star powers that are being added into the game in a couple of days and comparing them to the current star powers in the game. Just like always, guys, I'm going to be ranking each of the star powers so that you guys know which star powers you should focus on buying first if you're a free-to-play player, or which ones you should use if you are a gemmer like myself. Make sure you subscribe and turn on that notification bell so you do not miss future videos just like this. Let's start off by talking about Tara's second star power, Healing Shade. Tara's super cracks a dimensional portal, and a shadowy version of Tara appears to heal Tara and her teammates. This star power is very interesting. The star power will move toward the closest teammate and will start throwing out healing bursts toward them as long as they're within 4 tiles of the shadow. It almost heals once every half second, which translates to almost 800 HP healed every second. Now, to put that into perspective, that's just about double the heal rate of Pam's turret. However, it will only heal one teammate at a time. The one drawback here is that the shadow will always focus on healing the closest teammate rather than the teammate that needs the most help. I mean, I don't know what you can expect. It's a shadow. It's not a professional healer like, I don't know, like the healer in Clash of Clans. Oh wait, that's exactly what the healer in Clash of Clans does. Additionally, the shadow will not run away from enemy players, and it only has 2.4 thousand HP, so it's pretty easy for enemy players to get rid of it. This star power is very interesting because typically Tara will try to use her super for offense rather than for defense, meaning that the shadow will be behind enemy lines rather than behind you, where you can protect it and it can help protect you. Additionally, enemy players will likely be right next to the shadow after Tara's super, so they should like easily be able to take it out with like 1 or 2 quick attacks, maybe 3 depending on which brawler you're playing, unless like you happen to miss them with your super, and or like you should throw it behind your team specifically to heal. At the same time, Tara's super takes a long time to charge up, so I can't imagine a lot of people really like throwing it behind them just so they can spawn a healer. I don't know though, I could be totally wrong. It could be absolutely worth it. I am really interested to see this star power up against actual players. Now for Tara's original star power, Black Portal, her super once again cracks open that dimensional portal. I don't know why, but you know, that's what it does. But this shadow actually then chases down the closest enemy player and tries to deal damage to them if it gets within melee range of it. The damage is actually dealt at the same rate that Tara's healing shadow is, at almost 800 damage per second. Now for reference, that's 28% less damage than Nita's bear, which is a super, and granted that's also without Nita's new star power that doubles her bear's attack speed. Obviously her hyper bear star power means that like Bruce is going to deal much more damage than Tara's shadow. You get the idea. Still, this is certainly not something you can just ignore. Her damage dealing shadow also has 2.4 thousand HP and is rather easy for most players to take out, but there are a few brawlers like Poco or Piper that really struggle against the shadow, either because they have a slow reload speed or because they have a low damage output up close. Now the shadow actually has one of the fastest movement speeds in the game, which means that the enemy team can't just outrun the shadow until it's convenient to take it out like you can with Bruce sometimes. It must be answered, which means that it is a guarantee waste at least 1, 2, maybe even 3 ammo slots from the enemy team. So then, which star power is better? Well, both star powers have the benefit of removing at least 1 ammo from the enemy team, and that's actually really beneficial in a lot of situations. It is a little tricky to say which star power is better without having played Healing Shade against actual players. The bots in the dev build aren't really, well, you know what I mean. However, I cannot ignore the fact that 800 HP healed per second anywhere on the map is crazy good healing. If used correctly, it could be an absolute game changer for Tara, which is why I'm going to rate that as an S tier star power and her Black Portal star power as an A tier star power. I believe that really skilled players will be able to use Healing Shade much more than Black Portal, so that like the shadow actually becomes a lot more than just like a way to waste a few of the enemy shots. Like that additional consistent healing, that can be really impactful. Up next, we have Barley's 2-star power, starting off with his newest one, Extra Noxious, obnoxious. Now this adds 140 damage per second to Barley's attack. That is a 15% damage buff to Barley's attack bringing it up to a possible damage with one attack of 2,184 damage. Hey Stewie, are these numbers right? Oh, I'm sorry, boss. Yeah, let me check that really fast. Yeah, that's right, boss. What? That's crazy! Now, normally when Supercell buffs or nerfs attack damage, it's somewhere between 5 and 8%. A 15% overall damage buff to Barley's attack is crazy. Like, so crazy!
Hey, yo, Kairos, I just heard these numbers about Barley's new star power. Is this crazy or what?
Does he ever pay attention? It's crazy! Now this actually makes it so that Barley will be able to take 18 of the 27 brawlers out in one less tick of damage than before. It's crazy! Now Barley's original star power is also pretty amazing. With medical use, Barley heals 300 health from each attack. Now this is also kind of crazy good because it actually allows Barley to stay in the fight much longer than other brawlers. It makes it so that he can peek out from behind a wall, take some damage, go back to hiding while continuing to attack while healing up, which is something that most other brawlers are not able to do. Additionally, Barley's able to heal 900 HP from 3 quick attacks, which is like essentially a 27% buff to his health in kind of a weird way, bringing him to a theoretical 4.2 thousand HP with 3 attacks. On the right map, this allows Barley to have amazing control over the field, and it's a pretty great star power. Both of Barley's star powers, I would say, are definitely S tier. This means that if you are looking for a brawler to focus on getting to level 9 quickly, Barley would be a very good option for that. But which one would I suggest buying first or using the most? This is going to come down to how good you are at surviving as Barley. If you find yourself dying a lot with Barley, medical use would probably be the better option. Because Barley has such a low HP, it can take some practice to really know how to keep him alive. But if you do have that skill mastered and staying alive isn't as much of an issue for you, the additional DPS from Extra Noxious will really put the enemy team in a world of hurt. So I guess this really comes down to your own skill level and also your own play style. Personally, I'll probably use Extra Noxious most of the time, but there are some maps where I'll pick medical use because it's also really, really good. And of course, guys, we're also going to talk about Frank's new star power, Sponge. With this, Frank gains 1,000 health, bringing his total HP at max level to 9,120 HP. Not only is this a 12% buff to Frank's health, but it is a 12% buff to the HP of the tankiest brawler in the game, which is crazy. This means that he will survive one more complete attack from the following brawlers: BB, Bo, Bull, Carl, Crow, Dynamite, Frank, Jean, Mortis, Nita, Pam, Penny, Poco, Rico, and Shelly. Let's just take a moment to appreciate how crazy that is. Additionally, he'll also be able to survive a few more hits from several of the other brawlers as well. Honestly, it's kind of a boring star power because it's just so simple, but it's a very good one. Now for Frank's original star power, Power Grab, Frank steals the power of the brawlers that he defeats, increasing his damage by 50% for 12 seconds. 50%. That's crazy. This is a 50% damage increase to both his attack and his super. If conditions are met, this can make Frank an absolute crazy monster, and he can easily wipe an enemy team, but it does require a very difficult condition to be met in order for this to be useful. First off, Frank's teammates cannot get the kills. They can't finish it. It has to be Frank. Additionally, other enemy players must also be close enough to Frank that he'll also deal damage to them after they've seen him get a kill on another player. So like, you know, their skilled players are going to stay away from Frank when they see that he's purple and ragey, meaning that he's unlikely to actually deal the additional damage to them. Now, this does not mean that the star power is useless. Even if they do completely avoid him when he's ragey, it does allow Frank to control the map very well for 12 seconds. And 12 seconds is a long time. That can have a big impact on the game. Additionally, a 50% damage buff is such a crazy buff because he has such a fast reload speed and such a large amount of HP. Ultimately, I think that the conditions have to be a bit too perfect for Power Grab to really benefit Frank a ton. I would consider Power Grab an A tier star power leaning toward the B tier, simply because skilled players will play around it. And on the flip side, Sponge is an A tier star power leaning toward the S tier, because it's such a massive permanent buff to Frank that will always be useful. For most players, I would recommend getting Sponge first because it's an immediate buff and is simple. Then I'd recommend getting Power Grab later on when you're ready to work with a little bit more, some more advanced strategies. It's all crazy. It's all crazy. I'm crazy. As always, guys, there's definitely a reason why you'd want to get all of 6 of these star powers, especially because, like, my guess is that Supercell's going to work on balancing them to make them all worth it, or, you know, all equally crazy. But let's quickly recap this so you know which ones you should get first. Terra's Healing Shade will be more of a benefit over Black Portal, especially as you get more skilled with knowing exactly how to use it. Both of Barley's star powers are great options, but I'd recommend starting out with medical use for most players and getting extra noxious for players who get better at surviving with Barley. As for Frank, I'd recommend Sponge to start with for its like really good consistent value, and getting Power Grab later on once you're ready to make some more like advanced strategies. Out of all of the star powers, I think you're better off going for Barley's medical use, because maxing him out will give you 2 excellent star powers and it's a really good one. But after that, I would go with Terra's Healing Shade, since 800 healing per second is a lot of healing. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. It was a ton of fun to make. I might have gone a little crazy making it. Make sure you subscribe for more, hopefully less crazy videos. For now, this is KairosTime ticking by. Woo! And we will see you guys in Brawl Stars. Crazy!